Hi, and welcome back to Now TV Canada. This pre-recorded session because I have trouble now using these Google laptops with my Google Pixel phone using the attachment from my gigs. I just forgot the name. Tethering, the term tethering, to keep my internet stable so that I can do the live videos. I don't know why that changed, but it did. So it's possible maybe somebody is spoofing me from space. But who knows? The point is, it could be because of the topics and the things I share. Ergo, what today is about. Today is going to be another episode about, let's talk about Tom Welling. A lot of the series say, let's talk about, and then I say what. So we're going to do another let's talk about Tom Welling because I'm tired. And I just want to make sure my truth is out there, the confession is out there. I'm now 50, and I finished writing You've Got Mail 2 when I was 38. And Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan still have not read You've Got Mail 2 in all of that time. So the Hollywood industry, the movie entertainment industry, whether in America or Canada, absolutely sucks. The people are absolutely freaking terrible, like evil. I mean, so selfish and self-absorbed. And then it's spreading that same attitude, me, myself, and I, to other people. And that is ultimately what's affecting Tom Welling. We're going to talk about the fact that people have watched him grow up for decades around us as fans and people keeping track of certain things about his life, to know the difference of what he was like and who he was before and after, and how that has affected my life in all of the same time. Even though in the beginning he wasn't the person that was at the top of my mind, I was just pursuing my own career, my own intentions, my own desires, and yet somehow it was inadvertently connected to his success, which has ultimately ruined my life, my entire career. I just lost the 30 years that he's been famous, quote unquote, making enough money from doing little tours of solicitation, as I call it, doing these public events and interviews and things, where he goes home with some money to keep himself floating in the millionaires bracket, while I work myself to death. Get jobs that pay well enough but don't give enough hours, don't give enough shifts in order to get anywhere with it, to the point where you have to quit and then just try again somewhere else. And that you can apply for 3 years for the right jobs and never get hired for the right things that you're actually super qualified to do. So you have to find a way to be self-employed and do it yourself, or really look at the fact that you may never get hired at something you should be doing, where people from elsewhere or younger are getting jobs without being qualified, or taking a course through some place internally for 7 months and then just sliding right in to a place that hires if you take the course and do the practicum through them that way. And that's also wrong. And so I've slowed down in making these videos, and I'm going to continue to slow down, take some time for myself. But I did something recently with my support client, my regular one, that made me want to talk about Tom again, Tom Welling, and what's special about today's episode. So I went bowling with my friend, my 12-year-old. Well, he's 13 now. Sorry, his birthday's come and gone. His last day of school before spring break was actually his 13th birthday. So we went bowling. I haven't been bowling in a really long time. Now, when I was growing up, on the occasions my mom did manage to take me to the Kingdom Halls afterwards on Sundays, not all Sundays, but often, we would go bowling. She'd take me bowling because there was a bowling alley that wasn't far from the meetings. And those, I'm going to cry, were probably some of my better memories in my childhood. And I've had a terrible, difficult life living in Canada. I'm not a conservative. I'm not a liberal. I don't do NDP. I'm not part of the Green Party. I live in a country, essentially, I don't believe in or support or practice any of the political stances or views of the people surrounding me. The biggest issue with this entire industry is that people are only concerned about the immediate situation, the now, and how it affects them. What can I get out of this? How much can I get? What is it going to pay me? So people don't do anything for the right reasons at the right times in the right place to help boost people unless it becomes some big tantamonium, right? It has to be some sort of campaign that goes viral that makes everybody pull out stupid money, I call it, right? Where it's needlessly spent, frivolously spent on the wrong thing just because of the popularity of it or the publicity of it. So bowling was one of my reprieves growing up. Is a place I could go run away from everything around me that I didn't believe in, support, or didn't understand that I was being exposed to as I was growing up and couldn't escape from. And Tom Welling loves bowling. Specifically, we both like 10-pin bowling. Now, 5-pin is really good to practice with. It's really necessary to do 5-pin to build your arm strength, your shoulder, because you're going to be swinging lots of balls for a long time if you want to start getting perfect 300s, which I have never in my life done and may never do. But I don't care. I still love bowling. So Tayton and I really enjoyed bowling. We had a great time. And then I get message today that he has another in-service this Thursday. So I get him again for another 4 hours like I did last week. So I'm thinking we might go do bowling again. But we'll move a little bit faster. We'll do it. And maybe I'll book ahead and we'll do 10-pin. But Tom Welling didn't just like bowling. He was actually good at it. He was actually good enough at it that he was a part of a bowling club. He was on a bowling team. He had bowling clothes. Right? I don't know if he still has his bowling ball and bag and his own shoes or whatever. But he did this and he liked it. And all I can say about all the fans and everybody watching these videos I make and all these confessions of truth are all going to witness and testify to the fact that he's not being himself. He's not being the Tom we knew and we saw and watched when he was playing Charlie Baker in the Cheaper by the Dozen series with Steve Martin at a time where he was still pretty sure of himself, like who he is, where he's going, what he wants, and who he was trying to be. Now that guy has been completely interrupted, chopped in half, partly because of this industry and the image it's given him, the portrayal it has done in how they behave and teaching him how he's supposed to act and behave because of how they're all doing it, and his thinking, oh, I need to fit in, I have to be accepted, I have to be acceptable in order to continue to have invitations to go places publicly, so I have a source of revenue and the opportunity to still do some work in this industry. But I'm not like that. I buck the system. I'm black sheep. I'm completely the opposite. I don't care. I didn't grow up in America. I'm not American. And my work is good, and I've been writing longer than he's been an actor and modeling, longer than most. And so I've gotten good at what I do. And in all the time and all the work I've written, there's been no one that's written anything that's even similar or close to the work I've done. And all the stuff they've produced that's been released, I'm telling everybody it's a waste of time. Don't go, especially if you're in Canada. Don't let them insult us. Paddington, for instance, as well, being British myself, and anybody who knows anything about the original cartoon knows that this two-part movies they've made of Paddington in Hollywood, California is a complete joke. It's a farce. It's an insult, a degradation on the British comedy and the British cartoon and values of our heritage and this CGI stuff and the dark eyes and the seedy little attitude and the wrong personality and voices and all that stuff around the characters of the Paddington they've made. And so it's happened to Tom this way, where he is now shoveling horse manure. He's shoveling horse poop, and he's feeding hay to 3 horses that are not his to ride. They're not his 3 horses. They're her 3 horses. Basically, he's being the stable boy. I'm going to say this. Tom Welling did not grow up on a farm. He did not grow up on a ranch. Yes, he had been exposed to horses, and yes, he enjoyed horseback riding. Most of us have, and most of us did. But he was a hardcore city guy, right? You're talking Detroit. You're talking Michigan. You're talking New York. You're talking Wisconsin. You're talking big places. LA, right? The guy was made to move around with his parents, his dad's job, primarily working for GM in a high-end place where it demanded him moving around, meant that he had to move around all over the place with his parents because he's in their care, living in their home. And he absolutely couldn't stand it. It's one of the things he disliked the most about growing up in that house is there was no stability. There was no routine or regularity. He could not just go to the same schools until he graduated grade 12 and just be in the same community and have the same structure and have the same bonding and the same friends. So there was a disruption there in his personality as he's growing and learning. And so in his professional life as an actor, he's still having the same problems. And after the divorce from Jamie, and he came out of hiding after so many years of being away from the public, other than 1 or 2 little interviews, he suddenly decides to say yes to hanging out with Michael Rosenbaum again, which was his first big mistake, and that changed him. And we've all had to watch this change, and it's not good. And then he starts dating her publicly, declaring her his girlfriend because they met around horses, which was a positive memory in his mind of childhood with his parents, because he has to hold on to grapple at the things that were good. But at the end of the day, this city guy actually prefers bowling. He likes bowling more. So he would be rather more inclined to enjoy rejoining a bowling team and go back to bowling perfect 300s, having suits and balls and bags and shoes, maybe even matching sets with somebody who enjoys bowling, even if they never do strike a perfect 300 game. So I just wanted to tell people a little bit more about him in that way, where she will ask, if you ask her what it is about him she knows, what is he like, she will, after all these years, 9 years or whatever, pretty much still have the only answer she had at the very beginning. And she'll say, well, I know he likes blueberries, things that have blueberry in it. And I already said that that's kind of an answer that guys give when they're asked questions like, oh, what's your favorite something, in a way where they're like, we're not a girl. We don't think about food and things in the manner of what's your favorite. And so they know they have to give an answer because it is a girl asking and they're going to get in trouble. It's going to be a problem if they don't have one to give. And so they'll say something. So they had something with blueberry cream cheese in it or something and it was good. So they'll say, oh, the blueberry. Which essentially is what he does, right? That's the way he's kind of always been. But I'd like to see him get back on track with trying to reevaluate his needs and his desires. I'd like to see him find a way to find himself again so he can decide whether or not playing Clark is something he can do still. Like, what if he can't? What if there's been too much brain damage, emotional damage, spiritual damage, and it's not possible? Then he's got to learn to look at letting go and moving on and leaving it behind him and stop dilly-dallying with all the publicities and the touring and everything, including this boat stuff in June in the summertime, if there's nothing new under the sun to be promoting or talking about of interest that you're willing to do. And the problem is there is. and it has been around a long time. So I've had like different cards made at different times throughout my reign. I've had enough because the agents don't deserve money for work they've never done. And Tom doesn't need me to have an agent to consider me a human being, to know that I'm a person that he's actually met, that he's been in pictures with and stood next to, whose Instagrams he's seen, whose feeds have come into his feeds, whose comments he's read and remarked on now and again on Instagram and Facebook. And it's wrong that he's behaving in a manner that he initially would have never been liked. Back when I started pursuing him as Charlie Baker in Cheaper by the Dozen, I didn't even know about Smallville yet. And when it had started, I was just interested in the Steve Martin series and wanting to make a third movie, A Baker's Dozen, where I could play Jennifer Baker or the other Mrs. Baker, where I would also be on a book tour, but I would be doing a cookbook. And then his mom would help me on my book tour because she has all that experience. And then his dad and him are stuck at home with all of the adult original 12 visiting. And then, of course, all of the ones that belong to Charlie Baker. So at some point in my past visions of Tom, I thought potentially he could have been that kind of man in his real life, where he could have had his own baseball team of kids. Could have been a pretty good father figure, husband, friend. And I hate watching him lost like this. It pains me to see it. So I've moved on with my focuses, but I had bigger cards made. And recently I was here in Vancouver, like last year, and I was out there, Metro Town Station. I was at Metropolis, like the Metropolis Mall. Like I was there, and people were not accepting and not interested, not willing. They didn't want to make a break in the movie industry. They didn't want to do something with somebody's work independently. They turned it down. Few of them would take it and say, "Oh, I'll contact you," but nobody did. It was a waste of my time and it was a waste of money. So I have learned to realize I have to set up a table and just invite people to come to me for themselves and accept it. So the whole goal was to get the Smallville movie, the reunion movie, recorded. You know, like they did back in the day with Charlie Brown. I did this because I want to sort of emphasize the picture in my head. This was the concept of what I was trying to invite Tom Welling to get back to doing, grounding himself in who he is as a person with me. No pressures. I just want us to be able to become friends and be friendly on terms that he feels safe around and comfortable with by doing it this way. I figured because I no longer look like this girl he recognizes inside, because I no longer look like this girl. Right? So when he looks at me, he feels this, but he doesn't see it. Because I've had health issues, so I'm no longer that on the outside. But she's still there. And if we did stuff through audio with this book, and did cartoon as well, we could connect and have a good time in a safe space and a comfortable space. So I'm really hoping and pleading with people who watch this to try and help reach Tom before it's too late, to get him to say yes to the Smallville reunion movie that way, my way, so that he can feel safe and comfortable and know that there's nothing else there, nothing else going on. I'm not trying for anything more complicated, like how he was used on the TV show with Al Ghul, and where he got the heebie-jeebies, and he's mentioned it. Doesn't like to talk about it, but he has mentioned it, and he didn't like it. The heebie-jeebies were to the point where that was part of what brought the show to an actual end, and why he stayed out of the public eye and did all that time to himself, because he needed to rest. He needed to recover and get well over the heebie-jeebies. There have been stuff, it's actually been recently shared in people's feed if they're following him and their podcast stuff, where he's like, I actually wouldn't come to work and I wouldn't do a certain episode. And it wasn't enough, right? By the time he did that, it was a little too late. There should have been more discrepancy from his part where he's like, I'm the star of the show. You can't do this without me. It's not going to work. And I don't want to do this. It's an absolute no. Right. And then just leave. So I'm trying to regain that trust. I'm trying to help him learn to have some faith and trust in a co-worker in this industry, specifically a Canadian female woman, me, who happens to have some advantage because I'm older and I was writing first, to trust the work, and that it's good. Now, I do understand part of the issue here for Tom is that I have only allowed people access to purchasing the first one. No one's been allowed to read the second one. I haven't even read or recorded any parts of the second one. So I get what he's worried about. I understand what is kind of making him leery. Because if you're not doing the second part, if there's no promotion or shared information from part 2, what's in there that's so special, that's so exciting, that is so indeed hush hush, that I don't know about, that I have to be worried about. So that's why I'm promoting the cartoon first. I'm going to go to an actual voice facility down the street, hoping that with or without him, I can get practice, I can get demos done with students recording the material, and just find alternative Clark. Hoping that it will at some point reach him to the point where his head will be like, okay, I have to admit that Jennifer existed all of this time, and I knew she was there, and I knew about her promoting her work and saying that she was the writer. And yes, we met, and yes, we had pictures together, and yes, I did say gotcha, and clearly I didn't get ya, or didn't get her when I said gotcha after she had said her thing in those 60 seconds. But that he doesn't want to lose his part, and he doesn't want to lose himself. I guess I'm challenging him to an invitation to go bowling with me and just do a icebreaker that way. Just loosen up and let loose and hang out and put on a different pair of shoes, take off the cowboy boot and the hat, and, be your city slicker guy, the person you are, and just come hang out and get to know me, get to know my support worker client. We can bowl with him, and then discuss part 2, maybe, have him read this half. But don't go to the boat thing in June, you guys. Like, literally, we have to save him from himself. We need him to get to a point where he's realizing that God is more important, that Bible is more important, that prayer is more important, that Sunday school for his kids are more important. And I'm going to close with a little bit of that from the Bible, and in hopes that it helps Tom. That's why I make these videos. It's like, I guess, my public prayer and plead with everyone that we have to go over the agencies and the publicists and how they behave and how they treat people and how they live as an example towards actors who are very sensitive to their actions and then are not mindful of realizing, hey, wait a minute, when I was a kid or growing up, I wasn't like that. And as a young adult, I wasn't like that. When I was first married, I wasn't like that. When I first got my breaks in the industry, I wasn't like that. And I don't want to be like that now. And hopefully be together as a unified group of people that are still fans of the show and of him, hopeful that we can fix our Tom Welling. Like finishing a puzzle and you finally find that piece that's missing and put it into place, and then the whole thing falls together and it's perfect. So I'm going to talk about, I'm going to read the end of Matthew 5. It's 43. I'm also doing it because we're dealing with the Easter thing. Some people do the 40-day fast and Lent. At the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we do fast Sundays. I tend to fast almost every Sunday because I like to, relinquish my week. Just get it all out and get it off me, and then go again Monday and get through to the Saturday. But we do this at least once a month, and we do our sacraments every Sunday, which I love. And I have it in my head every single Sunday. I have it in my head waiting for the day, that moment where Charlie Baker Tom Welling become that same person they were in the beginning of their career, and his first marriage, sitting there in the church having a sacrament, eating the bread and drinking the water for the first time in his life, becoming the little boy in the picture with the perfect smile as mine when I was in the bus shack with the same identical smile, and we didn't know each other from Adam or where we were on the earth at that time. So here's to hoping that as I keep doing things right for myself and leading by example, that it will lead to salvation for him, because I would love to see him baptized, and then I would love to see that spread throughout his family, and that somehow he can fix his relationship and how he's feeling outside, as an outsider from his family and his family's issues, and that there could be a reunion where everyone's happy and comes together under the house of God, right? Under the grace of Christ. So without further ado, I'm going to talk about love for your enemies. So you have heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be sons of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your brothers, what are you doing more than others? Do not even pagans do that? Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. I love that, and the reason I'm reading it and what I just talked about in this whole issue is kind of the point that even at church, people who go to church, whatever religion they call themselves, what they call religion, that's the point, is that they'll greet each other because they look the same, they sound the same, they dress the same, they eat the same, they live the same, they drive the same kinds of cars, they have the same political beliefs, right? Now, I've already said I'm not the same. I'm none of that. I have a whole other punk side of me that trying to survive in Canada today at my age like that would not work if I wasn't working in certain industries only, like tattoo shops and piercing shops, because I couldn't do this, live like that. But you don't have to all be the same for God to love you, right? You just have to know what you need to do right. I gave away $48 worth of groceries, and I'm struggling paycheck to paycheck, month to month, to a girl on the street because I didn't like any of the food I bought from the grocery store I got it from. And she didn't waste any time. She just started chowing down, devouring it. And so, like, my garbage was another person's gold. And I had never felt such a reward. I'd never given away that much food that I had come out of my wallet and seen somebody have so much joy, just eating all of it and enjoying it, because I couldn't. There's one big thing that's changed with the gastric bypass revision I've had, is that everything tastes terrible. Post-op of this surgery, nothing tastes good anymore. It's changed me. My liver's changed everything. My taste buds, everything's changed. But also too, it's the people that live and work here now that have tainted the taste and have ruined the effects. It's also the speed and rate of delivery and the refrigeration of the trailers. It's ruining all the products. By the time they hit the shelves, most of it's no good. So we should look at just taking care of ourselves here locally. And so that's where I'm saying that you have to be mindful of who your friends are and who your enemies are, and sort of follow God's lead, so that we don't end up fighting and harboring any kind of animosity or anything towards each other, because we want to be peaceable, right? We want to get through each day. And so when I did that, it erased everything that had gone wrong with that me date, like going on a bad date, expensive, and it fixed it all, and it just washed away on me because somebody else got what they needed out of that, and it was wonderful. So that leads to the next one in chapter 6, giving to the needy. And this is the part about my Tom Welling and our Tom Welling that I'm thinking about, right? He doesn't support any causes. And that's not true. It's just he hasn't found the right causes or the right reasons to join these causes. Enough of them. He has done stuff with the Children's St. Jude's Hospital and dealing with the needy, the poor, and the sick, and stuff like this. I know that if I could get him to come back to our metropolis, if he would come back to Smallville, I could get him to do stuff with me that would help him ground himself and redefine who he is and who he wants to be in portraying Clark and being Cal from Krypton and Superman and divorcing more of the farm and the Jonathan Kent stuff. And so it goes on in chapter 6 to say, be careful not to do your acts of righteousness before men to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So don't do things to make yourself look good in front of people. I was listening to this man that was talking about his entire life of being married to his wife and how they've never missed a tithing their entire life because he's been well educated and has a good business and has always had enough money to do so. So that's exactly the kind of thing you shouldn't do. It's okay to have enough money to tithe and never miss, but you don't need to go around publicly declaring that, especially when you're at a meeting around people who might not only be able to do anything but $20 for the whole month, or maybe every once in a while, right? It's just not, that's just not the way the scripture's intended. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by men. I tell you the truth, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. And so I have to make another confession here. In all the years I've been doing good things for other people, or I've almost lost my credit card buying somebody a Greyhound ticket to get him out of Toronto and back to Edmonton because he couldn't stand it there. And he went there to visit his kids because she had moved so far away and he missed them so much. I've done things for people, and all this time I've never kept track. I've never written a book down. I don't have a little book of names or places or dates or years. I don't have pictures or videos. My left hand doesn't know what my right hand's doing. And it has occurred to me that it was okay that I could have done something sometimes throughout all this time to all the things I've done. I've given out shoes. I've literally gone to a store on the street that has cheap products of all kinds, kitchen equipment and stuff, and I bought like $50 worth of sandals from their store. And I went looking for people walking around basically in nothing, or who have swollen feet, who cannot wear regular shoes from the store. And I've given them these shoes. I have bought somebody an entire outfit, and including shoes, to get them through winter, staying in shelter. And I wouldn't trade anything I've ever done in the world. And so it occurs to me that in spite of not knowing much about Keanu, other than the stuff I see in the feed where people say Keanu does all kinds of random nice things for people, it does show videos and stuff. It is advertising him being kind and doing this stuff. You won't find any of that with me. So I'm challenging Keanu or Tom, or Ben Affleck or Brad Pitt, people I've been around or know should be around me, to actually catch me in the act. The only thing you will ever see in my history on YouTube is the birthday cake and the birthday party I held at the Tim Hortons that I got permission to do in the corner at the front window in Ottawa downtown, when Tom didn't get the connecting message when he was here in Alberta at a Comic-Con. They wouldn't send the cake to him. They wouldn't let me bring him the cake. They wouldn't tell him about the cake that I had made for him. This was a special cake that I went and got jelly beans that are only available, that only come out once a year, and that's around Easter, like now. And these were specialty jelly beans. I'm addicted to them. I love them. In fact, I think I'd better go looking for a jar of them. I haven't seen them yet, but it was a really good cake. and it was very meaningful. And I know Tom, my way, would have enjoyed coming to that Tim Hortons to not celebrate birthdays, but the act of giving, to give to the needy, but to celebrate sharing his cake that I made from scratch, from my heart, with all these other people. And I had a great time sharing his birthday cake that day with these people, even though the birthday guy was not there. I tried to save some of the pieces of that cake, but there was electric short in Gatineau, Quebec, when I moved across the border to the French side. And the guy that was in there got scared and freaked out, and he threw everything out that was in the deep freeze, which had another cake in it that I had made it for another year of him. So he'll never get to taste either one of those cakes. I didn't get to taste one of those cakes either. So yeah, you have to be careful about how much you put yourself through for the sake of others. You don't want to exhaust yourself by doing too much. And I will admit, I am admitting, I did too much. I went too far. I bought a special present and other things, which he had never come around to receive, because I didn't think he would pretend I wasn't here, that I'm not me, and that he didn't know me or know of me. And do this with her and Michael for that long, and follow the behavior of the people around them, and the agencies and what they've taught him to do. I kind of thought he was going to snap out of it and realize, hey, wait a minute, that's not what I want to do. That's not who I am. This is not where I want to be. And sort of get up and pack up and leave and actually go where his soul and his heart and his mind and his professionalism, his characters want to be. So when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. Is essentially the way we need to behave our lives daily, right? That's what I'm saying, where I don't videotape and record. I just don't know. And that's essentially Tom Welling. I'm making these videos about that. I'm trying to help save my Smallville movie work with him, and not have to give it away to other people and have other people replace all those original characters. So I'm going to close with prayer. That's the next one in Matthew 6, because we are at that time of the year, and prayer, of course, is good for everybody. So, of course, everybody knows the famous prayer. And when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by men. I tell you the truth, they have received their reward in full. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. And when you pray, do not keep on babbling like pagans, for they think they will be heard because of their many words. Do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask of him. So I'm going to pray for Tom Welling. I'm going to pray for all of you. I'm going to pray for the needy. I'm going to pray for the enemies. I'm going to pray for all of us. I'm going to pray for a better job, a better outcome for my work, publicity, changes in my website, other websites I need built, partnerships. I'm going to pray for ending poverty, as in bringing in universal basic income to everyone. I'm going to pray for the success of my Candy Crush Saga playing, because I've made it past the first rounds. I need to get past the second rounds, and then I get an invitation to go to California to be a part of the big package winnings of $1 million in June. That changed my life forever. So I'm going to pray that Tom comes to church and the kids go to Sunday school. I'm going to pray everybody does. If you see a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and it says open, you're welcome, go in. They're very friendly people, and there's lots of room, even if it's standing only. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For if you forgive men when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive men their sins, your Father will not forgive your sins. So it doesn't matter what Michael does. It doesn't matter what Jesse does. It doesn't matter what the agencies do or the publicists do. I'm not going to hold it against Tom. I'm not going to hold any grudges. I'm not going to feel any malice or evil. I'm not going to be holding any grudges. I'm just not going to let them make me angry and have us against each other, which is essentially what all of these years was adding up to trying to do between us. I'm just going to think about Charlie Baker and Steve Martin and that happy thought in that spot in my head where Tom takes a sacrament for the first time and actually studies all of the stuff that I know in my head so that he can be, leaps and bounds 10 steps ahead of everyone spiritually on the what's going on in the world, and where he will then be safer and able to protect himself because he can then see what's going on in order to know what to do to avoid the constant pattern most of us are in, the cycle repeating itself. So this is essentially what the cover of the book should look like for the first one. It's what I'd like. And I really want to show you guys as I close that I'm not kidding about I'm not kidding about the Candy Crush Soda Saga. Going to my files, we're going to go to pictures, images. Now I'm looking for the thing that says you've qualified. Move to trash. Oh, I think I found it. No, it wasn't that one. I took so many pictures to keep track of where I am and what's going on. I've lost the qualifier message. I guess it's a good idea for me to do this then. Anyways, it sort of looks like this, these things. Level 1284. Like literally I've gotten that far along. There. You made it to the second knockouts in All Stars. Stretch and focus to get ready for the next stage. In All Stars. In Candy Crush Soda Saga. So like, I am literally making this dream come true for me. Like, this is my moment. I was already seeing and hearing and picturing myself in character in the video game and doing some of the voice work with the guy in the game who does more than one of the games, which I'm pretty good at. And I've only been practicing and doing all this stuff for like 1 year. So I've worked out most of the kinks. And I don't spend a lot of money. Like, generally maybe $8 a week. Sometimes I might spoil myself. If I feel rich, I might buy like a $20 package or something, and then that's all I'll do until it runs out. But I haven't lost any of my eggs. I don't remember what number I'm at. Like, it's really high. In the 700s, I haven't died. I haven't had to get lives. So I'm really excited. There, it says qualified. I found it. All Stars. So the next one starts April 3rd. So I'm taking some days off, recuperating, and make this video say my thing with all of you guys. I've learned, don't accept these until you are ready to play again, because the minute you push the claim button, if you're not playing right away, it absolutely vanishes. So this is when you stop playing, you take your rest. So when you come back, that offer will still be waiting in the golden chest, and then you click on it, and then you start playing, and then you get further. But I almost got the same amount of purple stars as I did the first time. The first time I had started before the competition, and I got 1 million purple stars. I did it on purpose, played that long to get the million because it's $1 million worth of awards in California where everybody from Smallville and people I've worked with or been around over time should be in supporting me in June rather than elsewhere, like on the cruise ships in Florida. So I'll let you know how the next rounds go. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get through that too. It helps that I'm Canadian, we're smart people, and that I'm 50, right? So, yeah, I've got some leverage. I've been playing all kinds of video games throughout my life a long time. So I guess all my earlier years of partying and playing games is paying off. I was like that thumb girl in the old stick Atari thing. So I guess I've found my edge. So this is good for me. Something hopeful to help change things for what's ahead. I go to pick up my award for the third year in a row of the funding from the Downtown East Side for my 8 Mile 2 book. Around the same time as GST comes. So I'll update everybody then. I'll do a video and picture of me getting the check and the big check again. And this will be the last one because this is it. It's now or never. Like this is the year where you got to bounce and fly, right? So yeah, here's to hoping that everything works out for all of us so that we're all happy and get what we want this summer. I'd like to see Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan start reading it. I'd like to see You've Got Mail 2 get underway. And I'd like to see the Smallville reunion movie get underway. And I'd like to give work to people locally and have people come work for me and with me. So if you see me, if you see these cards, the big one or the small ones, take one. Scan the QR code, go to the website. You can go to futureproductionsonline.com and order a bunch of the stuff that's there. Demo CDs I can make for people with my songs. Copies of the movie script like this, like literally just like this. Special editions before they're made into books. And you just purchase directly from me, so there's no complications with taxes. And of course you can get Supergirl trilogy material as well as all of the poetry books. So a special something, The Day My Goldfish Died 5 years ago in June, and 8 Mile 2 series of the 2-book combo there. So that's it. Go to futureproductionsonline.com. Keep up to date on youtube.com/I am just Jen and all of my Let's Talk About Tom Welling videos and other stuff. I'm going to go play bowling again this week. I'm going to keep bowling. I'm going to book for 10 pin and I'll let you all know how my arm's doing. At the end of that one, I was sweating bullets and it's so hot after bowling last week with the 5 pin. So we'll see what happens with 2 games and Tayton in 10 pin. I'm actually going to go look at trying to book that now. So here's to hoping we get Tom bowling again. And then we will talk about fasting on another special issue of scripture sharing as I confess things I know about Tom Welling and other stuff. So peace out, everybody. God bless you. Have a good Easter. Have a good week ahead. Amen. Amen, amen, amen. Bye for now.